What's going on, everybody? Dr. from Average Gamer Guys back yet again into another Apex Legends video. So today, boy oh boy, do we have a new event that is live currently as you're watching this. I'm uploading this just a little bit late, just the day after the event starts. But we're talking about the Voidwalker event. So if you haven't jumped into the game, haven't checked it out, we're basically right into another 2-week event. We just came off of our last one, and honestly, pretty excited. So here's what we're going to do in this video. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to go over exactly what we've got. I also really wanted to jump back and talk a couple, like last week or so, they did a post that was really describing the new events that they have in game and kind of how they're classified and how they're broken down. So enjoy some gameplay in the background. I've got some pretty cool stuff, pretty decent games to show off and just jump into. So just enjoy that. But we're gonna throw some stuff up on screen as well, so you guys can check all of that goodies out. But I want to talk about the new event. And again, about just how these events are going to be handled in the future, how Apex and the team, EA and everybody are essentially looking at this, how Respawn is breaking these different events down. So, with that being said, if you're new, welcome. If you haven't tuned into an Apex Legends video, we don't do a ton of these. I played this game a ton. We just don't do a ton of videos. So hopefully you guys at least enjoyed the little bit of news, and we'll work in the future to get this out right as it's coming up, because we did get this a couple of days ago. So let's talk about what we've got. Voidwalker event. This is totally all revolves around Wraith. It is live now. Again, it actually went live September 3rd and runs through September 17th. So you can jump in and you can get right to it. There is going to be an update that's included with this. There were some patch notes as well, so we'll talk about those because I think those are important to cover. But here's what the event has. We get Wraith Town Takeover. So there's actually this new like jump portal into the map. It takes you down into this kind of underground, cavernish sort of map area, which actually looks really cool. Have not played it yet myself. But just taking a look at the screens and what they've got. So I'm super excited for that. I think that's really neat. In addition to that, we get a new limited time mode. So this is something they talked about that they're going to do more consistently here in the future, which is as these events come out, they're going to try new things. So this time we're getting a limited time mode called Armed and Dangerous, which is essentially shoddy snipers, which is cool. I'm not sure exactly, again, haven't jumped into it, but I'm imagining you can get a different variants of snipers and shotguns across the board, which is cool. But some things like the Mastiff and some of that other stuff I think is going to be a little bit more common, which is pretty neat. So we get a new game mode. We get exclusive event challenges. Of course, there's always going to be a direct purchase shop. And then we get double XP and top 5 for top 5 in wins. We get a weekend of that. So let's jump into it and let's talk about it. So a couple of things I'm going to throw up. The first two really self-explanatory. Again, Armed and Dangerous, shoddy snipes, which is really neat. Event challenges with free loot. So this is one of the types of events that we're going to go and talk about here in a little bit. But these new different types of events simply break down like this. We get ones with free loot, which is exactly what this one has in it. So we've got 2 tiers of challenges that we're going to have to complete over the course of this 2-week event. And here's what you're going to be able to get. If you play an Armed and Dangerous, you can get this Voidwalker badge. If you win 5, you're going to get the Armed and Dangerous badge, which is kind of cool, but I'm not super stoked about badges. Neat way to show off, but it is what it is. If you get 30 headshots as Tier 1, you're going to get 30 crafting materials. If you get 60 more headshots, I think with any weapon, you're going to get 30 additional crafting materials. So I'm always down for them to give crafting materials. 60 isn't a crazy amount, but it's at least something. You'll be able to kind of continue to work towards it. I like that because if you're purely free to play, this is a good opportunity to grind some of those. So I can at least appreciate that. If you win any game in any mode, you're going to get the Wraith loading screen, which is pretty cool. If you win once as 3 different characters in any mode, you're going to pick up the Wraith music pack. So that's actually pretty cool. Music packs, I think, have been one of the neater customization options, at least that I've liked, because I didn't realize that I would enjoy it until we got them. So it's kind of nice to be able to swap it up and find your style a little bit. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then complete 7 daily challenges. You're going to get the Paint Planet G7 skin. And then if you complete 14 more, you're going to get the Outside the Lines G7 weapon skin. So, not bad. For free stuff, honestly, not bad. Could be worse, could be better, but not worse. In addition to that, I'm going to throw it up here, but you're going to get the direct purchase shop, which essentially for the 2 weeks, they're going to have about, what, I think it's 7 customization option items that you can pick up. And they're going to be variants in price. So they also talked about wanting to do a variance in items that you could purchase. So some stuff is a little bit cheaper. So they're finally listening to the community here just a little bit to realize that they can't charge everybody $18 or essentially $20 when you buy the coins in order to pick up these different items. So we're getting there. Not all the way, but they're taking a little bit of the feedback at least. So here's what we can get. The Wraith Voidwalker skin, that's going to be the full price. You can buy that both the first and the second week. And then in the first week, you get this RE45, you get a Lifeline skin, and a Gibraltar skin. Honestly, for 500 coins a piece, I need to see these in game, but not too bad. That's not that terrible. Not that terrible. And what's nice is it gives you an option if you pick up a pack, you drop 20 bucks, you can actually pick up a couple of these. So it is what it is. In the second portion, the second week, September 10th to the 17th, again, you're still going to be able to pick up that Voidwalker skin. You're also going to be able to get her frame, this Void Shadow, and then you're also going to be able to get a skin for the Night Prowler and a skin for Bangalore. The gun skins actually don't look too bad. I think they're kind of neat. I'll have to check those out in game for sure. But not too bad. Not too bad. I actually kind of like the Prowler skin. So that's pretty neat. Probably won't drop the money for the coins, but it is what it is. And it gives you an option. And as I've said in the past, with these things, essentially these are event limited, which means we will not see them. We will see them again potentially at some point in the future, but it will be at least 6 months is basically what they've put on that time frame. So I think that's important to know. So if you don't jump into it, or maybe you don't have the means, but you really like something, it's not completely dead. You're going to have an option to pick it up at some point later, but it's going to be quite a while, so just be on the lookout for that. And then in addition to that, we get a top 5 and wins XP weekend. That's going to run from this weekend, September 6th through September 9th. You'll earn double XP for top 5 finishes. If you're trying to grind, if you're really trying to grind that, the new battle pass that they've got going on, I just hit 110 the other day. We've got a couple of weeks left. This is a good opportunity. The double XP weekends, I think they should do, honestly, pretty consistently, because it feels like those are good, and for people to be able to pick up stuff in the past. I just feel like that makes the most sense. So that's really what we've got for the event, and I think that's pretty cool. Let's jump into the patch notes here really quick, and we can talk about those as soon as this loads up for me. So again, we got the town takeover, event challenges, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. But here's what we got. Oh, so it's important. I do want to talk about armed and dangerous. We get a little bit more specific details, so I should run through this. Enabled guns. Again, this is shotguns and snipers only. Mozambique, Peacekeeper, EVA, Longbow, G7, and Triple Take. So the goodies. Honestly, the goodies out of it. Attachments not used by snipers or shotguns are disabled. So basically, only thing you're going to be able to find is stuff for those weapons. Makes perfect sense. Gold variants of weapons spawn in high tier loot zones and in airdrops, so I think that's kind of cool. Kraber and Mastiff loot values are tuned so they spawn in late game airdrops and very rarely, 1 to 2 per game. So that's actually kind of interesting. I thought we would get them a little bit more, so I misspoke earlier. I do apologize. Reduced armor, which I feel like is interesting. Disabled loot armor, blue, gold, purple helmets, blue, gold, and purple. So essentially, spawn rate for common armor and helmets is reduced. So this is basically turning this into pretty much one-shot kills, which now makes sense why the Kraber and the Mastiff drop really late, because you're basically going to be able to one-shot people, which I find really interesting. That, for me, is going to make guns like the Longbow and the G7 just absolutely nutty. Peacekeeper, if you're really good, you can get a... the choke on it is going to be pretty nuts too. So this is an interesting game mode, and I apologize, I should have covered this first, but I did not. Ground loot drop chances are reduced by 45%. So essentially, you're going to only find a lot of stuff in bins and not so much on the ground. Bullet counts and stacks are modified. So light rounds, 16 per drop and 32 per inventory slot. Same thing for energy. And then heavy, you're going to get 7 per drop, 14 per inventory, and shotgun goes down to 7 with 28 per inventory slot. So it's really interesting that they tweaked a lot of this to line up with this mode. So I find that pretty interesting. We'll have to jump in and test it out, and maybe give you some feedback in a different video. But overall, they said loot density is reduced, but ammo and weapon spawn rates are increased and stack sizes are increased to offset the loot scarcity and allow players to have enough ammo to not discourage combat. Increase spawn rates for syringes to compensate for lower loot density, and reduce spawn rates for shield batteries to match rarity of armor. So essentially armor becomes really, really important. Keeping fresh armor is going to also be very important. So hit those shotgun shots, hit those snipers from long range, and you should be good. I like the change to the armor because then it does reward anybody that can get in long range. And then if you're able to kind of get in a fight, win some of that fight from the long range, and then close the gap, I think it makes it so that your squad pushes and your wipes are going to be even that much easier. So that's really, really interesting. For me, G7 is going to be probably one of the better weapons in the game. I think the fire rate on it is really, really nuts. And then when you consider people only have blue armor, if you're really good, I mean, at the worst rate, if you just hit body shots, that's 5. So I feel like that's going to be pretty solid. So interesting. So here's what they talk about. Bug fixes, there's a couple of them. I'm not going to jump into a ton of those. Besides, they're working on some stuff. But here is what's important as far as changes to essentially the meta, if you will, and some of the adjustments. This is really what I wanted to cover. So they did add in a couple of things before we get to that. There's a new promo window, which you load up. They've added an auto sprint feature, which can be turned on and off and is disabled by default. So make sure to jump into your settings and adjust that. I think everybody's pretty used to, at least I know I am, the auto run. So make sure to take a look at that. Players can now adjust their aim down sight look sensitivity per optic zoom level. I think this is one of the biggest feedbacks I've seen, is that if you're at an 8 times, you need to be, some people really want to be able to adjust that sensitivity, and I don't blame them for it. Basically, every other FPS out there does this, so it's about time they got on board. So kudos to the team for that. They've done some visual improvements. That's cool. They've added UI for spectator that allows you to understand if you're spectating a squad mate or enemy. I guess that's important. And then they've added a setting to disable weapon auto switching when ammo runs out, which is important. I think for a lot of people that is going to be important, because you get in those fights where you know you're running out of ammo, try to swap your weapon, end up running out of ammo, and then swapping back into your empty weapon, which gets you killed. So that's a good change. So some of the additions, or some of the balancing items I'm going to say, is they've increased the projectile width for the triple take. Not sure how I feel on that one, but we'll see. And then SMG weapons are no longer compatible with the 3-time and the 2 to 4 variable ACOG scopes. They said our goal with this change is to better define weapon archetypes and improve the looting experience so that you don't accidentally pick up a long range sight for a close range weapon. I'm in line with that. I've done that. I've had a 1-time or even a digi sight on something, not realizing what gun I'm on, swapped into 3 times. So I don't disagree with that. Also, don't ever think you should put a 3-time on really any of the SMGs, but maybe I'm wrong there. In addition to that, legends. They did do 2 legend updates or changes, which I think is important. Watson gets the worst of it. She definitely gets I would say, a pretty hard nerf. But she now has a low profile attribute, which means she takes 5% more damage to base health. That kind of sucks. I didn't feel like I felt like her character model and everything lined up pretty well. She was never overpowered or underpowered. Kind of curious to see how she's going to do when she takes 5% more damage. And then this is the biggest one: reduce the maximum number of interceptor pylons that can be active to 1. So there's no more hard camping in a room putting 3 of those things down because you held on to 2 ultimate accelerants. So that's really important, actually. That is the significant nerf of the 2. But again, 5% more base damage to health is not going to help her either. So be interesting to see. I don't see her played a ton, but there are some pretty good squad comps that know how to use her well. I'll be interested to see. Bloodhound. They did fix an issue that allowed players to cancel the startup animation for their ultimate when activated using a zipline. Never knew that existed, but guess what? It's now fixed. So there you go. So that's really the updates and the changes. Again, I think that's an important, there's some big stuff inside of there. And again, apologize for not running through that as we started to talk about the modes. So that's really what we've got for this new update and this new event. Let's talk about the event structure here, and then we will wrap this thing up for today. Do apologize, a little bit longer of a video, but a lot to cover here. So essentially, here's what we're talking about. We have three types of events that we're going to see inside of Apex Legends moving forward. Obviously, everything always susceptible to change, so don't ever let anything that anybody says that is written dissuade you from that. But here's essentially what we're going to get. Season launches are going to be as you expect. They're going to be new seasons. So we're in season 2 now. We'll have season 3 as soon as this one is done. And here's what we can expect: a major map update, a new legend, new loot items, so weapons, ordnance, etc., just like we got the L-Star. Big changes to legend and weapon meta and balance, as we saw. Updates to the ranked mode, whatever they end up doing there, and then potentially new features. So like we introduced in season 2 with ranked mode. So something that we'll see. So those of you out there hoping for solos, we might get it back in season 3. Who knows? And then every season will also feature the release of a brand new battle pass. I think all that's to be pretty well expected. Then we're going to have themed events. These generally occur during a season and bring with them a limited time mode. So, solos, event challenges that let players earn cosmetics, and a mix of event limited and evergreen cosmetics available for direct purchase. These events may also include a town takeover or a small map change, and potential extensions to Apex Legends lore. The Legendary Hunt and this new Voidwalker event are perfect examples of these, themed around a character, themed around something specific. And they said, again, in this post that they're going to have one coming early September. So there we go. So that's what we've got. That's what we're seeing now with the majority of the stuff. I feel like the big key here is the majority of the stuff in themed events. These will be smaller, but the majority of the stuff is going to be things that you can earn for free. Cosmetics that you can earn, and then some stuff, there's always going to be some stuff that you can buy. And then just some little tweaks to the town takeover, and then kind of a fun game mode or whatever they decide to do. And then there's collection events, which is what we just got, which everybody hated because they didn't talk about it beforehand. But this is, you know, the big deal that we got with all of the purchase of full. You had to spend all the money to get all the packs. But a collection event, here's what it is. It takes place throughout the season. It's going to deliver a limited time mode, event challenges where players can earn cosmetics instead of event limited cosmetics available via event specific Apex packs or direct purchase. They said, quote unquote, it's your choice. They said, like themed events, collection events may also feature a town takeover or a small map change. So here's the important thing to understand. Collection events, the stuff inside of them is going to be very, very limited, okay? It's going to be kept very rare because it's going to essentially be behind a paywall. You're not going to get a ton of free stuff. It just is what it is. So they've talked about that. They're going to do these. Here's my understanding. During the course of the season, we'll probably see one of each. We may see 2 themed events and 1 collection event. I highly doubt they're going to get that crazy to do 2 collection events. They'll probably prove me wrong sometime in the future. But that's what we've got. So again, season launches where you got to pay for the battle pass, and it comes with the big changes. Themed events, what we're doing now with the Voidwalker event. Some cool stuff that you can pick up that's not super amazing. Not something so crazy awesome, but some cool cosmetics you can pick up. Hopefully, again, they continue with some of the crafting materials, and then collection events where you're going to have to pay for some of the stuff, but it's going to be way, way better. I got to be honest. The stuff from this most recent event was really, really cool. The Iron Crown was really, really cool. It just sucks that it was all pretty much strictly behind a paywall. That's the only part that really makes me sad. But beyond that, they talk about how they've received a lot of fan feedback, and they want to talk about what these new structures are, as well as talk about periodic patch fixes and everything else that they plan to do. So they're just going to, they pretty much promise to try to keep everybody engaged and talking about and understanding what's coming in the future. So that's never a bad thing. So that's what we've got. That's what I wanted to cover today. Again, sorry for a little bit of a longer video, but I really did want to cover everything that we got going on in Apex Legends. Again, playing this game a ton. Hopefully you guys are too. If you're not, now's a good time. Jump back into it. Some free stuff you can go grind for a little bit. Shouldn't be too hard to grab. And yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this one and want to see some more Apex, by all means, let me know. I get some pretty cool games every once in a while. Would be more than willing to share. I'm going to jump into the new event and talk about it. So we'll have a future video of that coming up as well. So stay tuned. And as always, just thanks for watching. Thanks for continuing the support. Again, if you're new, like, comment, subscribe. Links in our description, Twitter, Twitch, Discord. Go check all that stuff out. I'm Dr. Gamer, guys. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace.